Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Tarot Podcast, where I am here with two of the hosts of my favorite podcast, This Jungian Life. I'm so glad to have you guys back on the show today to speak about dreams.
Thank you so much. It's
And
good to see you.
good to see you. And who could be better than two of the three authors of this fantastic book, which everyone should get? Links in the show notes. We thought it would be really fun today to have a look at a dream and try to use tarot to see if we can learn something more from this dream or perhaps gain more insight. How exciting. Since we have the dream professionals here, I can't wait to see how this works. It's a big experiment for all of us, and who knows what will happen. So, you guys have been good enough to select a dream, and perhaps you would be kind enough to read it for us.
Deb, would you like to read the dream? Yeah.
Sure. This is with kudos to Joseph, who has found a dream that actually has tarot in it. So let's see where it goes. But our dreamer is 42 years old. She's a woman. She's a designer. And here is the dream. In my dream, I was watching a reading from my favorite tarot reader on YouTube in my iPad. And then I went inside the iPad and found myself sitting beside her. She was sitting in a chair reading the tarot cards. She turned around. She had a mask on, probably because of COVID. She smiled, and I could see her big, smiling eyes. In the room, there were two other people, her mother and her sister. The mother was flying in the air. She was the Queen of Swords, and I can't really remember the sister, but she was there. Suddenly, the walls opened up, and I found myself in the Colosseum in Rome. It was a sunny day there. People were walking in the grass together, and I was walking and looking around as well. I knew Alexandra, the tarot reader, and her family were nearby. Suddenly, I realized I lost my bag, a small backpack that I had recently purchased. I thought to myself, Alexandra can probably tell me where the bag is, but I decided to ask around to see if anyone saw it. The people recommended me to go down to the underground parking. They said I might find it there. I send down a desert cave, and there were other people around going to underground parking, and the road down was like going down a desert cave. I could see the cars were way down. They were so small. And then I saw right by the cars a massive cougar. And then I think I saw another cougar. The massive cat was running toward us. People were stressing out and ran up. When I saw the cat, I wasn't afraid at all, but because of other people's reaction, I was running up with them. The massive cougar was running past me. I looked back to see if the other one was coming, and I woke up.
Wow.
For context, the dreamer says, I had this dream a year ago. At the time, coronavirus was at its peak. Also, right around the time where I lived, there was the demolition of a building. And I had the biggest crush I've ever experienced on the project manager of the building. He was very young and very different from me, and I could not accept my feelings. I was overthinking. And the more I refused to acknowledge my feelings, it got worse and worse, to the point where I couldn't go past the construction site. And if I saw him, my body was shaking.
Wow.
Oh, she became a cougar.
She had it bad. Yeah. She was a cougar. Yeah.
She says the main feelings in the dream were, it was a sweet, dreamy feeling. I always wanted to meet Alexandra, the tarot reader, so it was a dream coming true. Everything was so at ease and almost fairy tale. And then she adds, a cougar is an interesting symbol. Queen of Swords as the mother, Colosseum, desert cave, missing bag. And wow, Joseph, we have our work cut out for us.
There's a lot of that dream.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing. Right. And I love the fact that she was watching a reading and then she went into the iPad. There's like a framing device in here.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly. It's really fabulous. So one thing I'm curious about to sort of just go over and see what the facts of the dream are is what is the Queen of Swords, Susie?
So when she says that she had been very up in her head, that to me is a very Queen of Swords reference. Plus, the Queen of Swords was flying through the air. The Queen of Swords are associated with the element of air. So all of that seems to make sense to me. It seems to me to represent perhaps some the tension between this sort of this image she has of herself as a very sensible person who does the rational thing
Oh, yeah.
versus the person who loses her bag and goes into the cave with the cougars.
Yeah, this is a pretty, I mean, I'm just showing this image because what do we take from just the image itself of this very grounded, seated, powerful woman, sword upright, hand out?
I'll tell you, the Queen of Swords was the first. This Queen of Swords was the first card I ever drew from any tarot deck.
No
Ever.
kidding.
This very one, and it was at a very Queen of Swords time in my life. I'll just say that.
So that's where our story starts, is with the tarot reader going inside the iPad, and the tarot reader's mother and sister were there, with mom flying through the air as the Queen of Swords. And if that happens, then the walls open up.
And she finds herself in the Colosseum.
Yes. But I'm really taken with if that happens, the walls open up.
That's extraordinary. Where so she starts out in the iPad, in the room,
Yeah.
dives through the iPad into the room, and then the room disappears.
Yes.
Yeah.
It reminds me a bit of Alice in Wonderland, you know, of Alice drops down
Goes to the look.
and there she is. She's in another world.
Yeah.
So let's look at where she is. She finds herself in the Colosseum in Rome. Now, of all places in the world, of all the things that could happen, this is what happens. And still she has the connection with the tarot reader and the tarot reader's family. And our dream ego lost her bag.
Yes.
So, you know, very oftentimes, you know, our bag it's sort of our identity. It has my wallet, my money, my credit cards, you know, the list of things I should buy at the grocery store, you know, a mirror, my phone, you know, all the essentials of who I am and what I need in my life. So when she gets to the Colosseum, even though the tarot card reader is still there, she loses her bag. Bags, wallets, backpacks, this is all the stuff I have to have. My essentials.
Her essentials, her identity. Yeah.
Sorry. Gone. And then she says, I send down a Dever Cave, but I think what she means is she goes down, it descends down a good desert like a cave and meets the cougar. So we had a chuckle about that a bit ago, but it's kind of hard to miss.
It's kind of hard to miss. Yes, yes.
In connection with this project manager who's really hot.
Yes, yes. And that she absolutely did not want to entertain feelings for, and yet the more she pushed them away, the more strongly they arose. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a shadow figure here in Alexandra, the tarot card reader. That it's her favorite tarot reader on YouTube. And what is Alexandra to this to this dreamer, to this person, clearly someone that has wisdom and knowledge and can offer guidance and is accessible in a literal way through the iPad. And then there she is again at the Colosseum in Rome.
Yes, kind of a human library of Alexandria.
Oh, that's great. Isn't that great? That's really fabulous.
So, Queen of Swords, one of the things that's, I think, interesting about her is that she is seated sideways, so you can't see her full face.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And she's gesturing, she's holding the sword in her right hand, the hand of consciousness. And I sometimes call the sword, the Ace of Swords, the blade of attention, because one of the things I think about the Ace of Swords is that it can stand in for our ability to focus on what we want to the exclusion of other things. And I think that's one of the powers of the Queen of Swords. She's able to focus so that she can detect patterns. But she's also quite capable of using that sword to behead things and people she doesn't like. That's part of her archetype. That she's kind of this, the one queen who doesn't need any companion.
Oh.
Yeah. The other ones are often in the literature, they might be described as, married to the king, or, they have some kind of affect that gives you the idea that they're coupled up or mothers or whatever. But the Queen of Swords is like the Queen of Spades. She might be a widow. She might be divorced. She might be alone. Yeah. She's different that way. Also, typically considered an INFJ, like most tarot readers. So to me, when I look at this dream and she's got this Queen of Swords figure flying around, to me, this is that part of her that says, I don't need anybody. I definitely don't need that guy over there. Oh, no. He's not for me.
So the dream contrasts an image of female autonomy and power with what finally happens at the end of the dream, where she sees the massive cougar and people are stressing up, and she says, when I saw the cat, I wasn't afraid at all. But because other people were panicked, she was, also running up with them. But isn't that interesting? And a cougar is also an image, in the colloquial, but a real cat cougar as well. We have female power. The cougar does, a real cat cougar does what the cat cougar does. And if they see you, you're lunch.
Indeed. And sort of the famous feline card in the Rider-Waite-Smith would be this one, the Queen of Wands, who has Snuffles the cat at the bottom here. But, if you read the literature around the Queen of Wands, she is, and you can see the lions also on the edges of her throne. She is considered the most sort of like sensually attuned, most open, sometimes even sort of derogatorily described as promiscuous queen, in contrast to the Queen of Swords. So the Queen of Wands has this wonderfully open, lusty, a relationship with her own drives and appetites, and it's very different. She is, and you can see this perhaps even more clearly, I think, in the Thoth Queen of Wands, where there is a giant leopard next to her.
Oh, yes, I've seen that one. Wow. And our Queen of Wands can even be promiscuous?
Yes.
Oh, heaven forfend. Right? So isn't this a great image, too, of autonomy? I go where I go, I love who I love, I do what I do.
Yeah.
So what our question was, can we use tarot in dream work? the answer, it would appear, is yes.
Yes.
It helps, of course, that the dream includes tarot images, but it might also, I'm dying to hear from you, Joseph,
Yes.
but it might also be interesting to try a dream that doesn't refer to any of the tarot images and to see if one is nevertheless relevant. But Joseph, what are you
Yes.
thinking? Joseph, I'm going to out you, is he typically thinks the wheels have been turning, and he always has something really valuable to say. So I'm waiting for it.
The soup has been simmering on the stove.
Yes, exactly.
So I really resonate, Deb, with your observation that there's something about authority that the dreamer is sorting out. And to me, the pivot point, which is called the peripeteia in Greek drama, the pivot point happens for me where I thought to myself, Alexandra probably can tell me where the bag is, but I decide to ask around and see if anyone else saw it. And then the dream changes. So the first part of the dream has to do with the dreamer and her relationship to these authority figures, and Alexandra being one of them. She's the oracle. I want to ask someone else to help me find something. And the dream maker says, or she somehow senses, maybe I should go on the search myself for the thing, which then it's the fateful decision because she goes deeper into the unconscious and then she encounters this living instinct. And so importantly, and I think this is, she's not afraid of the cougar, but as other people start screaming and running, she just kind of gets caught up in their collective attitude. So she was kind of tested there. She didn't quite pass the test to kind of know what she knows for herself, which is, I don't have to be afraid. Maybe other parts of my psyche are a bit panicked, but I wasn't. And in fact, the cougar runs past her, doesn't attack her. So she has some proof that cougar's not trying to hurt her. So I think it is about taking into herself the wisdom to know what she knows, to be who she wants to be, and also to not be afraid of her cougar, which may be about not being afraid of her sexual passion for this person, but perhaps sexual passion in general. So I think the dream is very positive.
Yes, and the mass of people running away are perhaps the internalized attitudes about her sexuality, that everyone is terrified of the cougar, and yet there's no need to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
When I think of the Queen of Swords, and the Queen of Swords isn't flying through the air, so that's why if she was here, I'd ask her, what is it about the flying woman that you associate with the Queen of Swords? Because the queens are very rooted in their thrones. But the Queen of Swords, and this gives me an opportunity to unpack the relationship just briefly between Qabalah and tarot. Wow. So the suit of queens is associated with the sphere of Binah on the Kabbalistic tree of life, which is the primordial mother. And there are 4 queens because there are considered 4 worlds in the Kabbalistic theology. We identify them as rods, cups, swords, and pentacles. So the 3rd world, which is called Yetzirah, in the sphere of Binah, is where the choir of angels called the Aralim are encountered. And the Aralim are said to grant the initiate the understanding of their suffering, which is why the card is associated with mourning. So amplifying that, I'm thinking about there's these 3 women. There's 4 women. She's there, the reader's there, the sister's there, and the mother is there. And whenever there's a quaternity, there's a possibility that the self could be activated. And particularly if there's 4 of the same sex as the dreamer.
Yeah.
So
Fascinating.
I'm wondering if there is something, and you had also talked about this, Susie, when you were talking about the Queen of Swords, that there is some kind of a mourning process that may be connected in some fashion. It's not explicit, but the association to tarot might make us curious about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Very interesting. That's fascinating that you brought up the connection of the queens to Binah on the Tree of Life. Oh, and Yetzirah, for those who might not be aware of it, is one of the 4 worlds, Kabbalistic worlds, associated with swords and the element of air.
Okay.
Yeah. So another thing about Binah, I think, which is interesting to reflect upon, literally, is that Binah is a place of reflection. It's known as the spheres of understanding, where the impulse, the creative impulse that travels from Keter to Chokmah and then into Biyah, is amplified, reflected, becomes real. So for a queen to show up, perhaps might point to a readiness for understanding, a readiness for reflection.
Absolutely.
My goodness.
And the bag is also could be associated with Binah, because Binah is that archetypal containing force. So the seed idea of Chokmah comes to the Divine Mother. She then embodies it in the succession of forms that are necessary for the potential to be actualized. So one of the aphorisms for Binah is, form disciplines force with merciless severity to actualize all of its potential. And so Binah is not simply the nurturing mother, she is also the mother that decides if the form is no longer serving and dissolves it so that a better form that allows for the actualization of more potential can be provided. The bag is a form that is containing something, and the bag is gone, which means that she needs to find a new form within which to carry her psychological material that will afford her more potential than whatever was there before.
Fascinating. That is terrific. I mean, so Binah on the Tree of Life is the top of what we call the pillar of form, the 3 sephirot on the left side of the tree. So the idea that the bag might stand in for that pillar of form is fascinating to me. Yes. Also, in the Golden Dawn texts, sometimes they speak of the Ace of Swords as invoked force. So force being the opposite of form, force being the other side of the tree. So she's got this the Queen of Swords holding the Ace of Swords of invoked force and losing her form
Yes.
at the same time.
Yeah.
And that's the Geburah aspect of that column, which is the dissolution of forms when they no longer serve any purpose.
So here is a great lesson in how useful a symbol system can be.
Exactly.
Yes.
And it ties in exactly with what we do in Jungian work, which is the amplification of an image or a symbol. What is it like? Well, it's like this in the Sephiroth. It's like this in Tarot, the Queen of Swords, the Queen of Wands. We build it out and build it out. And there it is. It's just 1 or 2 lines in the stream. Mm-hmm. But this gives us a way in that is beyond the personal associations of the dreamer, which are incredibly important. Mm-hmm. But what a great object lesson you two have just provided, really, and a good reason to get interested in these symbol systems, particularly tarot.
Well, I often tell people who are learning tarot that, sometimes they ask me, do I have to know astrology, for example? And I'll say, no, you don't have to know astrology or Qabalah or anything. However, they are just there lying around and
Right.
they're incredibly useful. They're already
Yes.
joined up to the tarot. And if you want to use them, it can save you a lot of trouble.
Yes.
But you can also, of course,
Yep.
you can also develop your own symbol system with typographic fonts or melons or whatever. That's okay.
Yes, absolutely.
But these things have gone on for centuries, millennia. They are archetypal images, and that's why they have such resonance. And they're linked together. It's a system. It's not just what I think it is. It also goes so deep and so wide. It's amazing.
Yes.
And we
It's
come
a
back,
good reason to do this.
and we come back to her context just as perhaps a cherry on the sundae. I could not accept my feelings. I was overthinking, which is, Susie, what you were talking about with your associations to the Queen of Swords. And I refused to acknowledge my feelings, and it got worse and worse. I couldn't even go past the construction site because my body was so affected by this passion that she was feeling. And then she finds a solution, or the solution is given to her by the self, which is gotta lay down your baggage, gotta separate from that thinking Queen of Swords. She's in you, she's flying through the air. That's great. Like, there's no aggression. She just decides she's going to look downward instead of looking over to Alexandra. She goes to the earth, Queen of Pentacles maybe, but she's going to go to the earth. And when she goes to the earth, she finds her instincts, which is the cougar. And again, parts of her are scared and want to run away from it, which is what she did in her outer life. But in the inner life, she can actually make friends, or at least not be frightened of the instinctive power of her own cougar, who actually is on the move and powerful and dynamic and healthy and vibrant. I mean, if you've seen a cougar run, it's like a miracle. It's so beautiful. And we could also amplify this with Bastet and other things in terms of the mythology of big cats.
And so
and on
exactly.
and on. Yeah.
Yes,
Exactly.
yes.
And so it goes.
So
Yes,
it goes.
So it goes.
But these are ways into wisdom that has been organized and systematized that goes really deep into our human underpinnings. And look how useful it is.
And fun.
Really
It's really enlivening to play.
It is.
I mean, I don't know if it's helping this woman with the dream, but we're having a ball.
It's true. I can't tell you how much fun this is for me. I mean, every week I listen to your show and I listen straight to the end. I listen to the whole dream sequence and I think, what would it be like to do this? It sounds like so much fun. And I am so happy that I have had the opportunity to experiment with the dream world with you.
Thank you
my
so
gosh.
much.
Thank you too. We have had fun.
We have had a wonderful time, and I hope the conversation will continue into the future.
Okay.
Absolutely.
It's a deal.
Onward.
It's a deal. Okay.
Thank you so much, both of you.
Take care.
Thank you too,
Take care.
Susie.